Hello, I'm Sandra Gasson. This webinar is following on from our introduction to interoception, and it will focus on interoception and anxiety, one of 5 specific areas that Sue and I have recorded as part of a series to support autistic adults. Sue and I have both received training from Kelly Mahler, and the links to her work and further resources are referenced at the end of this webinar. Within the Autistic Spectrum Conditions team at Kent County Council, we've predominantly worked with autistic adults without a learning disability. And we've based this webinar generally on supporting this client group. So this webinar may not be suitable for everybody. However, the strategies could be adapted for anybody that is struggling to interpret their body sensations and emotions. With reference to this particular webinar, we would recommend a visit to your doctor if you've got any concerns around your anxiety levels in the first instance, so that a doctor is aware, and also this is where you could receive medical advice if needed. Now, for the purpose of the webinar to run smoothly, I'm assured that if we turn the cameras off, it does help reduce any interference. Let's try and get the next slide up. Here we go. So it's important that you have a basic understanding of interoception and what this means. The introduction to interoception webinar needs to be watched in the first instance. So please click on the link above. And after you've watched this, come back to this webinar, which will focus on anxiety and the heart. Have a pen and notebook with you, as there is a short activity during the webinar. You might like to write notes also and write down any queries about the webinar that brings up particular questions for you, or areas that you might want to research later. So you will have learnt that interoception helps us manage the way that we feel by prompting us to take action based on the body sensations we notice. The majority of us recognise these sensations, and we have good interoception awareness. The purpose of this webinar is to focus on the heart. To help you notice this area of your body and to encourage you to practice to think about how your heart can feel and how you're able to describe this. If you have good interoception awareness, you will not have any problems with recognising if your heart is pounding or if it's fast. Good interoception awareness is vital for us to manage our anxiety levels and our stress levels. You need to be able to notice and connect the body sensations involving the urge to act so that you can maintain a feeling of contentment. If you have poor interoception awareness, for example, you may experience difficulties in controlling your emotions. You may feel overwhelmed, frustrated, and distracted. For example, if you don't notice the sensation that your heart is pounding fast, your brain will not receive the signal to tell you that you need to do activities to slow down your heart rate, which might lead to the problem of you not being able to fully engage in activities of your choice. And you may experience a higher occurrence of meltdowns. If you have poor interoception awareness, you might have limited coping skills. You might experience low self-esteem and depression, and also experience difficulties reading other people's emotions. You may have trouble engaging also in social interactions with others. So if this sounds like you or somebody that you support, it's likely that you or they would benefit from interoception awareness and practice. So interoception awareness will help you to manage the way that you feel by prompting you to take action based on the body sensations you notice. The first step is to practice noticing how your body feels. So in this case, recognizing the sensations around your heart and where it is located in your body. The second step is to connect what these sensations mean. So noticing when your heartbeat or your heart rate has changed and recognizing these sensations. Now, Kelly Mahler refers to this step as the emotion, but we feel the word sensation fits better for the people that we work with. The third step is to take action. So, for example, when you notice your heart rate is changing, for example, when it's starting to get faster or pound, this may also be alongside other body sensations, such as you may notice your breathing is faster, your mouth may be dry, and your chest may feel tight. But for the purpose of this webinar, we're going to be focusing on the heart. The important thing here is that you have noticed that your heart and the sensations in your chest area, and that you are able to sit down in a quiet place and concentrate on your breath with exercises to bring down your heart rate until that discomfort has faded. This slide shows the journey of Robert. When working with Robert, we needed to help him notice his body sensations, but then also to connect these body sensations to the action he needed to do to form an appropriate response. For example, Robert was encouraged to show us where his heart was on his body and to describe these sensations around his heart after doing a variety of activities. Robin then began to feel his heart beating faster, and he noticed other body sensations, such as his hands were sweating. He was then able to connect these sensations to being anxious. And this was in context for Robert, as he was learning to travel independently and found the experience of sitting on a bus extremely anxiety-provoking. This webinar is focusing primarily on the body sensations coming from the heart and noticing the sensations when the heart rate is racing or pounding, and the need to be able to act on those sensations to regulate the heart rate to a level where you feel you are comfortable or at ease and able to go about your daily activities. Robert is now learning strategies to help him regulate his heartbeat. He chooses to close his eyes and listen to his favourite band through his headphones until he feels that his heart rate has dropped to a level where he feels comfortable. So initially, Robert could not feel his heart rate and he needed to take his pulse to be able to notice the sensations. This has taken him lots of daily practice before he's been able to gradually notice the sensations of his heart raising without taking his pulse. He's now practicing step 3 to be able to self-regulate and use some of the strategies that he enjoys, such as listening to his favourite band, using a stress ball, and doing breathing exercises to manage his anxiety and travelling on the bus. This slide is a recap. Step 1, it's important to be aware of where your heart is in your body. If you are supporting someone, ask them to show them where on their body their heart is. Can you or the person you are supporting describe the feelings around your heart and how it can feel during a variety of activities? For example, you may like to ask them to climb the stairs, or after doing 20 fast jumping jacks, or after sitting quietly reading a book, or after listening to their favourite music track. This slide is where we're going to look at step 2, focusing on some of the words that you could use to describe how your heart can feel. Anything is okay, as this is personal to each of us, even if it's an unusual word to you or the person you are supporting. Here is where you may need your pen and paper to try writing down some words. You might like to pause the webinar and think about some of these. For example, how does your heart feel after you have done 2 minutes of intense activity? Does it feel fast? Could you use that word to describe it? Did you come up with any of these words? Fast, slow, light, pounding. So, if you were struggling to think of any words in that last exercise, you might wish to try some of the heartbeat activities. If you're able to, you may wish to run on the spot for 90 seconds with really high knees. How does that make your heart feel after this? You might like to jump as high as you can for 10 times. How does that make your heart feel? Or you could just sit in a chair and close your eyes. How does that make your heart feel? Remember that even if a body sensation feels uncomfortable, such as a fast heartbeat, it's a really helpful sensation, as the sensation the heart is giving you is important information. It is a clue as to what you may need to do to stay healthy and to feel more comfortable. It's important to remember to think about the 3 steps and connecting these together. Step 1, how does your body feel? Step 2, recognizing the sensation and what this means, and to use one of your describing words. Step 3, to take action. This is where you will do anything that makes you feel calm, as this will reduce your heart rate to a more comfortable level. This slide looks at step 3, connecting the sensations. So for example, you may be feeling the sensation of a fast pounding heart rate and want to bring your heart rate down so that you are feeling more comfortable. This example shows a breathing exercise. This step comes with lots of practice, especially if you are learning to recognize the body sensations of the heart and learning how to describe these. This slide looks at practical things you could try. This will depend on you or the person you are supporting as to which strategies might be supportive. But the most important thing here is to encourage interoception awareness, step 1 and step 2, so that you recognize your own body sensations, such as a pounding fast heart, so that you're able to put in the step 3 strategies that work for you in reducing your heart rate. So in other words, strategies that make you feel calm and offer you comfort, such as what's mentioned here on the slide. Focus breathing exercises. You might want to lay or sit down, listen to music, do some reading, or just spend time with your pet. Step 3 could also be more successful for people who have structure and routine. So for example, where they have a balance of activities embedded into their day or their week, where they have calming activities either side of stressful activities to assist them to better manage their anxiety levels. Routine and structure can be enhanced by the use of visual aids such as calendars or apps where you can be given a prompt, such as the Handy Calendar app by Abilia. This is referenced at the end of this webinar should you wish to explore this. It's also recommended that you have a list of calming activities for you or those that you support, as these will be important as strategies to explore when needed. This is a blank template that you could use for yourself or for those people you are supporting to notice their body sensations around their heart and also where their heart is located within the body. This is a template that you could use to support yourself to describe how your heart may feel by adding some of your own describing words into the boxes. You may want to make your own. And this slide shows a resource that you may like to explore if it's suitable for you, and you could add this to one of your own calming strategies when you're working at step 3. This slide or resource may be useful for those struggling at step 1 and step 2 to support you or those you support to take their own pulse, to create a greater awareness of how their heart rate can differ during a variety of different situations and activities. This may support you or those you support to notice the sensations of their heartbeat. Step 1, and help them to start to describe and write down the sensation, which is step 2. This is an example of how you could record the things that make you or those you support feel happy and calm. An important thing to remember here is that you have a balance of activities which are structured into our day or weekly routines, as these will be really important in managing our anxiety levels and our well-being. This brings me to the end of this webinar, Interoception Awareness and Anxiety, which is focused on the heart. We hope that this has given you some insight into interoception and that you will go on to practice the 3 steps. We would also encourage you to explore the resources by Kelly Mahler and look at the other webinars in our series, which includes Interoception and Eating and Drinking, Interoception and Temperature and Pain, Interoception and Toileting, and Interoception and Sight and Sounds. Thank you.